Hello, this is Eric Jesse. This is Education 383. The assignment title is From Striving to Thriving, Writer's Lesson and Reflection with Mentor Text, Module 4. And today is July 30th, 2022. Jonah, how's it going today, buddy?
Good.
Good deal. Okay, for today's lesson, we're going to talk about metaphors. Have you ever heard of a metaphor before?
I think, yeah.
I think it's probably been a little bit summer vacation and everything. So mentor, or when we talk about metaphors, we will talk about today how we're going to explore the metaphor work and then compare and contrast. So then when a metaphor is a thing or an object that is representative or symbolic of something else. For example, I have the slide up right now. It's called My Brother. I'll just read it to you quick and then I'll give you the examples from it. So, My Brother, it's by Sarah Holbrook. My brother is a redwood wedged between my toes. My brother is a basketball jammed up in my nose. My brother is a scratchy coat cut too small to fit. My brother's mosquito just begging to be hit. My brother is a chainsaw that once started, whines and roars. My brother is the chicken pox. He cannot be ignored. Okay. So obviously the main idea kind of what I just read is he's kind of annoying, maybe a little disappointing. There's specific examples. It could also be my brother is a redwood. It could mean that he's tall, but then he talks about how it's wedged between my feet, my toes. That obviously means he's not going away anytime soon. Okay, so is anything that stood out to you with metaphor wise? Does that kind of make sense after hearing those examples?
Yeah, now I understand that it means it means what it's saying something, but it means something else, sort of.
Yeah, it's just kind of explaining in a different light, kind of in better detail. So I've got this book that I found online that we're gonna watch/listen to. So we'll go ahead and do that, and that's got a lot of different metaphors in it. Obviously, what we just talked about, what metaphors mean. Just a reminder: metaphors is a thing or an object that is representative or symbolic of something else. First of all, the book's called My Mouth is a Volcano by Julia Cook. Obviously, that's a metaphor right there. My metaphor is a volcano. Obviously, his mouth isn't actually a volcano. It could mean a lot of different things. Could it mean, he says a lot of things he shouldn't, he's got bad breath, stuff like that. So it just represents a lot of different things. Any questions before we get started with that?
Nope.
Okay, I guess when we're listening to this book, why don't you look for, or you can write them down. I know you got paper with you. Let's go 3 to 5 different metaphors that you can hear throughout, and then we'll talk about them afterwards. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Awesome. Okay, I will share my screen. Should be able to hear the audio. Okay, can you see that?
It's loading. I see it so far.
Okay. Can you hear it?
Written by Julia
I
Cook,
can.
illustrated by Carrie Hartman. My name is Lewis. People say I erupt a lot. I don't think I do. I have a lot to say, and all of my words are very important to me. When other people talk, words just pop into my head, then they slide down onto my tongue. My tummy starts to rumble, and then it starts to grumble. My words begin to wiggle, and then they do the jiggle. My tongue pushes all of my important words up against my teeth, and then I erupt. Words just explode out of my mouth. My mouth is a volcano. In class, my teacher says that when we want to say something, we're supposed to look at her, raise our hand, and wait until she calls on us. I tried that. After I waited for what seemed like 62 years, my important words slid down from my head onto my tongue. My tummy started to rumble, and then it started to grumble. My words began to wiggle, and then they did the jiggle, and my tongue pushed all of my important words into my teeth, and my volcano erupted. My teacher was less than pleased. She erupted me right back. I know what you're saying is very important to you, Louis, but since it is not an emergency, you'll have to wait until I call on you. It was my volcano's fault. At daycare, we were sitting on the rug listening to Miss Polly read us a story about planting trees. All of a sudden, I thought about the time my grandpa and I planted 6 trees in his front yard. My words began to slid down from my head onto my tongue, and my tummy started to rumble, and then it started to grumble. My words began to wiggle, and then they did the jiggle. My tongue pushed all of my important words into my teeth, and my volcano erupted. I got time out. It was my volcano's fault. During dinner, Mom and Dad were talking about paying the bills. Then I thought about my friend Bill. Bill can blow a bubble inside of a bubble when he chews 2 pieces of bubble gum. Now that is really important. My important words about Bill slid down from my head onto my tongue. My tummy started to rumble, and then it started to grumble. My words began to wiggle, and then they did the jiggle, and my tongue pushed all of my very important words into my teeth, and my volcano erupted. Louis, my mom said, you interrupted again. If somebody else is talking and you don't have an emergency, you have to wait for your turn. But Mom, my words, they slid down from my head onto my tongue, and then my tummy started to rum. Louis, you did it again. I got sent to my room. She said I was rude. It was my fault. The next day at school was my very important day. I had been waiting for about 126 weeks to be the student star of my class. This was my special moment. I got to share a poster with my class that had pictures of all of my favorite things. I stood up in front of my class and began to tell them about the time I went fishing. Halfway through my story, Richard started to tell everyone about when he went deep sea fishing in Mexico. His story must have been better than mine because everyone started to look at him. He was stealing my important words. Richard, said my teacher, you just interrupted Louis. Please wait until he's finished talking, and then he might call on you. I couldn't believe how rude that was of Richard. He erupted me. That really made me angry. After talking about my fishing trip, I started to explain the x-ray of my broken arm. Just as I was getting to the good part, Courtney started to tell the class about when she broke her leg. Courtney, said my teacher, you just interrupted Louis. Please wait till he's finished talking, and then he might call on you. I couldn't believe how rude that was of Courtney. She started talking right during my 15 minutes of fame. She ruined my important words. She almost stole my moment. When I got home, I told my mom about rude Richard and rude Courtney. Now you know how they feel when you interrupt us, said Mom. I never thought about that. I just get so excited and my words, they just pop into my head. Then they slide down onto my tongue and my tummy starts to rumble and then it starts to grumble and my words begin to wiggle and then they do the jiggle and then my tongue pushes all of my important words up against my teeth and I erupt. Words just explode out of my mouth. My mouth is a volcano. Maybe Richard and Courtney have volcanoes in their mouths too, my mom replied. I never thought about that. Well, son, the next time your important words are pushed into your teeth by your tongue, bite down hard and don't let them out. Then take a deep breath and push your words out through your nose. Then, when it's your turn to talk, take a deep breath and breathe them back into your mouth. Will that work? I asked. Only if you make it work, said my mom. That night at the dinner table, my sister Sylvia was in the middle of one of her long girl stories. When my important words began to slide down from my head and my volcano started to do its thing, just as my tongue started to push my words out through my teeth, I bit down really hard. Then I breathed my words out through my nose. As soon as my sister finished talking, I took a deep breath and back in went the words. I was amazed that they had just hung around outside of my mouth and didn't float away. Then I told my story, and nobody got mad at me for erupting. After that, I never erupted again. Well, except for the time Bill's bubblegum got stuck in my hair, but that was a real emergency.
Alrighty. Have you heard that book before or read that book before?
Nope.
Okay, so obviously, the title was about the volcano. Does he actually have a volcano, or
Nah.
what actually is the volcano?
His like mouth when he's talking and interrupting people.
Yeah, when he gets angry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you ever had experienced that when you got mad or something? You said something maybe you didn't mean, or something happened?
Probably.
Probably, yeah. You're a good guy, so maybe not. So what I just want to hear, what's the first did you write down 3 to 5
Yeah.
examples of metaphor? What's the first one you had?
The first one I had was it said that the words popped into his head.
Yeah, obviously the words actually didn't pop into his head. That'd be kind of interesting if it did, but it just stands for metaphor that he came up with the right thing, or in this case the wrong things to say. What was your second one?
My second one was when he said, "My important words slipped down from my mouth or my head and fell out of my tongue."
Yeah. Do you understand why he kind of feels like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, because sometimes we don't think before we talk, I guess, and it sounds like things popped into his head and it just fell out of his mouth that way. So that makes sense. What's the next one you had?
The next one I had was my stomach started to rumble.
Mm-hmm. Obviously, it wasn't really rumbling, but I mean, that. What was the fourth one?
My fourth one was 120 weeks to be it said I waited 120 weeks to be the student star.
Do you know how many weeks? 120, like how many years that is?
I think like 2.
It's like 2.5 years. So obviously he didn't wait that long. It's just another great example of a metaphor. What was the last fifth one? One more, right?
Yeah. My last one was when he said he was mad because he got interrupted and he said he stole his 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah. Yeah. So do you feel like you have a better understanding of metaphors and how they can affect, our reading and I guess writing too in the future?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. Because, for example, our first one about the brother with the redwood in between his toes. Obviously, if you had that, that'd be a big problem. So it's not necessarily literal, it's more figurative language. Have you had some discussion on figurative language before
Yeah.
with metaphors and everything? So awesome. Well, it sounds like you got a good understanding of it, and hopefully you can continue to learn from it and use it in the future.
Yeah.
Okay. Good work today. Thanks for helping me out. I thought you did awesome, so thank you.